Welcome to the Michigan Golfer Show. Join us each week as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great game.
Hi, this is Jack Berry, and I'm with Bill Newcomb, and we're talking about up north golf, and in particular, at Grand Traverse Resort, the Spruce course that Bill did some years ago was the scene of a couple of memorable Michigan Opens, and a very fun course to play with some challenges, right, Bill?
There were a lot of challenges just getting the thing built. That was the challenge I remember the most. It was a fun time because I got to work with Paul Nine, who was a fellow Michigan grad and who I had actually known and crossed paths with on campus. So we were of the same mind about sporting and golf and that kind of thing. And he was a developer. There's no question he was a developer and a marketeer. And I was happy to be able to help him when he called and said, "Hey, we want you to take a look at this."
And?
Well, when I got up there, it was interesting because there was really pretty much a 9-hole course there, although no one would now recognize that original 9 holes. But Paul had purchased this whole property and had hired a fellow up there who fancied himself to be a golf maintenance guy, builder, architect, and so forth. So they had the beginnings of a 9-hole course, but they wanted 18, and that's their direction, and they had the permitting and so forth. And so I took over from there and began modifying that 9, and we added an additional 9, and it was a fun kind of thing because you had a developer who had loafers, tasseled loafers, and a tie, and you had myself, and then you had this on-site engineer who was in charge of constructing it all, and I remember some tales of basically flooding because the whole thing was coming down through a drainage path, and there are historic stories about Paul Nine out there in his loafers and his suit, and because a judge had said, "You will do your erosion control methods." Now, Paul understood judges because he was an attorney, and so there was Paul out there in his loafers trying to help put bales of hay in as stops for erosion. It made my heart feel good. But he got what he had intended, and I had intended, was to build at least a quality golf course that he could hold a tournament on.
And it was, and when the Paul was the one who brought Jack Nicklaus in for the Bear, and the Bear, of course, had the reputation of being the toughest course, in the world, and the guys who had just played the previous couple of Michigan Opens on the Spruce course said, "Hey, the Spruce is that tough." Maybe not quite, but it.
Well, the Spruce was tough. There was some truth to that. The Spruce was tough. It was pretty subtle, though, by comparison. The Bear knocked you right over the head and said, "I dare you to try and play this." The Spruce at least said, "Well, we are a resort course," and of course Paul always wanted another trap here and another trap there, which was fine. But the Spruce held its own for a long time. Yeah.
And Paul was the one that got the tall addition to the hotel there, the skyscraper of the North, and Gary Player was in there too, and he took a couple of your holes, didn't he? Yeah.
He did. He did. Everybody began to mix and match holes up there. Nicklaus modified a couple of holes. Gary Player used one area. It was architect's delight. I want this area. Okay, we'll go build here.
Well, Grand Traverse it's a terrific resort. They got some wonderful commercials on now with the tower and all the different windows and everything that's there. And I imagine Paul Nine must be looking at that commercial and saying, "I did that."
He did do that.